In this episode, we talk about free agency, the draft, and the Yzerplan for our second part of our interview with Brad, the undrafted hockey fan. Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast.
Welcome back to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. We are a podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. We are sponsored by DraftKings. I'm one of your hosts, Connor.
And I'm the other host, Kyle. We're a show brought to you by the fans for the fans. We're not officially sponsored by the Red Wings or Griffins. We're just bringing this to you as season ticket members. We like to share the knowledge of the Griffins. Feel like sometimes it gets undersold, and we just like to bring news to the forefront about what's going on in Grand Rapids.
Yeah, in this episode, we're going to talk about the Yzerplan, the free agency, the draft with undrafted hockey fan Brad. But first, we have some news going on here. So we're going to start with single season tickets are on sale for the Grand Rapids Griffins. You can snag those, and also starting this year, they're offering 3-game and 5-game packages. So that's really cool to see. You don't have to be a season member, but you can get the 3 or 5 game package if 10 games ain't going to be something you're going to be able to make it to. Say you live out in the further town, you might not want to make it to 20 games or 10 games. So you can get a smaller package and still get down there and enjoy games. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and make sure before you purchase your tickets, you check out the promotional schedule so you can pick the night that you want to go to the most. There's many events, Star Wars, Top Gun night with an Austin Watson Top Gun bobblehead. So make sure you check what one you want to go to. We'll go over the whole promotional schedule later on before the season. But for now, we're just going to keep this one with our interview with Brad. But got to keep you updated what's happening in this month of September first.
So we have training camp beginning, and we have the prospect games coming up. They used to be in Traverse City the past years, but they are now going to be in Texas. That'll be Saturday, September 13th, and September 14th on a Sunday. So they are going to be in Traverse City for their training camp still. They are still there. They're just not doing the prospect games there. But yeah, then we got the red and white game returning to the Van Andel Arena in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is a huge one. They're actually bringing a lot of big name players to be at the concourse when you walk in to get your signatures. They got Mickey Redmond, Kurt Maltby, Chris Draper, Nicholas Cronwell, Yuri Fisher, Dan Cleary, and Darren McCarty all in the house. You're gonna have Yzerman there for sure. He's not part of the signature list, but he'll be there. You got all these big names there. It's a really big event, and it's cool to see it come back to Grand Rapids after a big hiatus of not being there. They've been doing it up in Traverse, so
yeah, it's super big for us. A huge opportunity for us to get to see some of these players, and as season ticket members for the Griffins, we get our regular season tickets and a ticket to the game. So thank you for the Griffins organization for that, and just super excited to be down there for this one. Obviously, it's been a long time since we had it here in Van Andel, so definitely make the most out of it. Get to see some of these Red Wings legends, and yeah, just get to see the work that these kids have been putting in over the offseason.
Yeah, and it's really exciting just to start the season this way too.
Yeah.
Before you get to see all the good guys that could be here at least one more time.
Yep.
So you can't complain. Like, if Danielson makes the roster or Mazer makes the roster or ASP makes the roster, you at least got to see him here a couple times. Grand Rapids.
Yeah. They picked a good time to do it for sure. So that being said, we'll go on and get into this part 2 interview with Brad, talk about free agency. We'll talk a little bit about the draft, and we'll dive into how we feel about the Yzerplan and its future. So we'll get right into it. Okay. Yeah, we can move on from these players in the pipeline, and we can go ahead and talk about some of the free agents We'll talk about, some draft results. We can talk about the Yzerplan itself. So, start out with the free agents. We have quite a few players that departed from the Red Wings organization. We have quite a few players that have returned, and then we have some new arrivals. So departing from the Red Wings, we have Jeff Petrie, Alex Lyon, Craig Smith, Tyler Mott, Vladimir Tarasenko. Then in the AHL, we got Joe Schnively, Tim Gettinger, Emil Vero, Cross Hannes, Jan Bednar, Brogan Rafferty, potentially Josiah Didier, Jack Campbell, and Hunter Johannes are all players that are most likely departing from the AHL, and then the big ones from the Red Wings as well. So any big names departing that you want to talk about that you're going to miss, or guys you wish we took a chance on?
I'm gonna miss Joe Snively for sure.
I mean, how do you not talk about? I was Joe Snively. Go ahead, Connor. Yeah, you talk about Joe Snively. You guys can talk more about the Griffins. I was gonna talk about the epic Jeff Petrie, but but definitely let's do Joe Snively. Like I said, you guys watched him a lot more than I did, so go ahead.
So Joe Snively pretty much led our team last year in points and just everything. Especially around like the trade deadline, you had all the players go up and get called up to the Red Wings, and we were pretty much left with Joe Snively. You had Dries and Watson and Shine got his call up, which was a really cool story to have. This year in the AHL, man, being here, the Griffins forever, getting a call up finally, which was really cool. And then, so, we literally had all our veterans gone, and Joe Snively held the team together. He was like our Gorilla Glue. And he performed exceptional, and he's going to be really missed down here.
Yeah.
There's a moment with Joe Schnively, like you said, around the trade deadline when he was holding together. It seemed like he was the only player that could get the puck in the offensive zone when the Griffins were struggling late in the season. They just couldn't get the puck over there, and Joe Schnively was constantly forced to be the only guy to take it in, take the beating, take all the rough checks, and he's on the power plays, on the penalty kill. He was really doing it all there for a minute. So definitely gonna miss Joe.
Do you guys see any young guys that are going to be coming up from the Griffins that you guys will be missing? Potentially a Carter Mazer, which I know you only saw 20 games of him, but like, is that a guy that you see breaking into the Red Wings and then you guys losing him?
Yeah, so Carter Mazer, he started the year injured pretty much, and he was pretty much injured most of the year. He came back, and when he came back, he kind of matched Danielson. Like Danielson was kind of starting to take a more heavy role, and Mazer came back, and he was really what we were missing here in the AHL. He started scoring goals. He was really hot, and then he got his call up, and unfortunately, seconds into his call up, he got slammed into the board and then broke his arm, his wrist, or had a really bad injury. Put him out for the rest of the season. But so that's the real thing is if it was at his pace right there, before he got injured, I think absolutely he makes the roster. But the real question is how did the recovery from the injury and how's he going to compete at training camp? If he does good, I say, yeah, absolutely send him right up to Detroit. But if there's struggles there, send him to GR and like have him be like one of your first call ups for sure. Like the dudes can play, the dude's ready. He's just a little bit behind because of the injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, with Mazer, he's definitely going to be pushing for that spot. The next man up. He wants to be it. There's no way he gets that 10 seconds of Red Wings time and doesn't want to get right back into there. I mean,
a minute and 10 seconds. I just want to say it's a minute and 10 seconds. It literally says on NHL.com, and it cracks me up. You're like, dude, your literal like a minute and 10 seconds. That's like probably the shortest debut ever, right?
Literally, it's sad, right? Like it was so hyped up, and then all the people that were there to see him, and there's no way he comes back to the ice and just doesn't have that motivation behind him, that fuel, that energy to get. But like Connor said, recovering from an injury, I believe he's officially activated again, which is a good sign. Since
I believe it was
July.
actually, if we would have not been eliminated, I believe he would have been cleared to go the next game in the playoffs, actually. So
yeah, for the Griffins versus the Stars, that would have been really nice to have, but unfortunately that didn't end up well.
Yeah. I actually saw the Griffins play the Stars out in Texas. I saw the Griffins play the Stars in Texas. I went to see my brothers in Austin, And so I actually went down there and I got to, and I saw, because like you only rotate guys. I was sitting in the same section as like Soderblom, and like, he was like up at the top, and I was like, "Hey, Soda!" Like, it's like, Jesus Christ, he's huge. You guys are probably getting a little bit of Soderblom, right? Like, I think Carter Mazur, if he's healthy, does make the team. I think there's enough. And even as a 13th guy, I think he's good to get in that rotation. I just don't think the Red Wings are deep enough. And I think that they're willing to move out guys and like make room for some of these guys, right? Like, I think that there's, and I just think there's like a Berggren. I think you wouldn't mind scratching a Berggren to bring in Mazur, right? Because Berggren's, he's kind of plateauing, right? He's development's not fully there, right? He hasn't really broken out as a star. He's he's a point every 3 games, basically pace. So you kind of know what you have in Janssen Berggren, but you don't know what you have in Carter Mazur, and you kind of like that boom crash guy, right? Kind of like a James Van Riemsdyk, a Tyler Bertuzzi type. You're like, this would be great on the top line. We would love someone like this, right? And we start to see that with Elmer Soderblom. He started to get more and more tough, but again, that wasn't in Soderblom's nature, as opposed to where it is. This is Carter Mazur's game. It'd be really nice to see him in that aggressive down the boards role, and like you'll see Dylan Larkin do it. You don't want to. You want your captain and center that produces. You want him in the front and producing, and you let the other guys take the brunt of that work. Because if you lose Dylan Larkin, I mean,
I hear you
Gavin
with
McKenna,
Mazur and his play
down.
style. He wears 43, and he did it for Darren Helm. So Darren Helm was called Danger. So he definitely fills that role playing, just not afraid to check. He's not the fastest skater in the world, but man, he can burn someone if he gets going. So and he tends to be a really clutch player too with Mazur. It tends to just score when it matters most. So
yeah, when he came back from the first injury, he definitely started lighting up the scoreboard, and obviously the Red Wings took notice. So I don't think that it was that big of an injury to the point where it's going to stunt his career or anything. I just think it might just take a couple extra months to get back in the flow of things, and I'm all for him getting the roster spot. But if he ends up on the Griffins, it's not gonna hurt him that bad. I think he'll be the first call up, like I said before.
Is there anyone else on the Red Wings that you're gonna miss?
Not really. I can't really say I'm not gonna miss Tarasenko. I'm not gonna miss Tyler not too much. Craig Smith didn't do enough when he came over. Like, none of these guys are really I'm not really gonna miss them. On the Griffins, I will miss Cross Hannes a little bit. I believe the Griffins still have a chance to sign him. I just feel like the dude never kind of got battled with injuries and never beat him. Just kind of lost the battle. And I'd love to see that guy with some more ice time, but yeah, maybe somewhere else is getting a fresh start is the right thing for him. But Brogan Rafferty, Josiah Didier, the captain, not offered a contract yet. Still, that's a question. Does Dominic Shine become the captain if we don't sign Didier?
I think so. I think he's got to be the captain.
I can see that. I was surprised he didn't in the first place.
Yeah, I think everyone was.
We were like, "Who is this Didier guy?" And then he turned out to be quite the guy.
Yeah, he was all right. I like Didier. He was very good in front of the net. The only dude we had that would clear the front of the net. So we need someone to replace that for sure.
Do you think that they saw Shine potentially making his debut? Because you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is you kind of need a guy that you're not going to call up, right? It was the same way with like Brian Lashoff, right? Like you make him captain because he was going to be there a long time. He was going to be there every game, and he wasn't most likely not going to get called up, right? It was very. I think he got called up in like hey, there's so many injuries, but overall, like he was going to be a stable force down there, and that's his goal.
Yeah, I guess I don't think they really planned on calling Shine up. I actually feel like he played himself into a call up where he just put on a really good season. I mean, every year his seasons continually got better. I mean, maybe it's a good thought to think maybe they didn't want to give him the captaincy because they thought it was possible. But honestly, I think Dominic Shine played himself into the role to get himself to the Red Wings, and they kind of took notice halfway through this last season. We're like, man, this guy is a heck of a hockey player. Let's get him up there. And I mean, all these kids are coming up, surpassing them, and they're probably like, why isn't Shine up here? He's the best hockey player down there, So
yeah, I hear you.
a lot of people got, like, oh, Dominic Shine, like there's a reason he spends all his time in the AHL. He's just not that good. Well, he actually turns out he's if you're looking at hockey players, Dominic Shine is one hell of a hockey player. I mean, that dude just does it all. And it's really nice to see him. I'm excited to have him back, and maybe this year he comes back with a C on his chest. So be interesting to see there.
Well, and I think Shine was one of those, like, it's all gas, no brakes. Like, you need guys that are just high motor, high, like a Dan Cleary type, right? That just, that he skates like he hates the ice. He's just like he's a grinder, and I love that about him, right? So it's
All right. So with the players returning to the Red Wings, we got Patrick Kane, Jonathan Berggren, Albert Johansson, Elmer Soderblom, Ante Tuomisto coming back to Grand Rapids, and Gabriel Seeger returning to Grand Rapids. So those are the names we're retaining. I'm glad to see all of them come back, especially the names like Soderblom. I think McClellan just wants to give his hand at Berggren a little more. I think we're going to see a little bit more Berggren at the beginning of the season to really see what we're getting out of him. I think McClellan's going to put him on the ice, and we're going to witness what he can do. And if it doesn't work out, I think you will see someone take his job.
It's kind with Berggren, it's almost like he's kind of like he can be like a top 6 guy, but if you put him up there, he's just like too much of a liability up there. I mean, he has the skill to score and do all that, and I mean, really assist. I mean, he's really good at creating those really good plays that set everyone else up for goals. He's learned the scoring, I feel like, from all the time he had down in GR for all that time. He learned to sharpen his knife and score too. It's just his defensive liability still is a little much to have him up there with top dudes like Connor McDavid playing against them. It's just not the best look. So yeah, he could. I think this is his last chance, really, to really prove it.
Yeah. To go over the guys that they signed and everything, I think Berggren, Berggren's going to get an opportunity with him, Soderblom, and James Van Reems like on that top left wing. I think you're going to see him up there. I think, and I was trying to think about the lines, how you could do it. Would you want Berggren on the second line, left wing? He is a right-handed shot, right? But you're like, okay, you have a not very defensively responsible Berggren with Kane. You're like, that doesn't really work that well. So I think that's where I think the top line might work out better, where you have two a little more defensively responsible in Raymond and Larkin. Soderblom, and the thing, and like you said, Berggren, there's only a 1-year contract, right? So this is a prove it deal. And I'll tell you my theory in a second. Let me run through the players. Like, I think it's telling to tell you that Soderblom got a 2-year contract. Like, that shows that there's confidence there. They see something there. I think he solidifies himself as a bottom 6 guy. Albert Johansson played on the right side, his off wing, and looked phenomenal once what do they call him? The Todd father came in, right? So like, I think that's huge. He got a 2-year deal as well, right? Does he on a Stanley Cup playoff team? Is he a second line defenseman? No, right? But he is a solidified NHL player, and I love that for him. And then, of course, Kane, you bring him back. I mean, if Patrick Kane wants to sign your team, you find a way to finagle that, So, but so I would say my real quick theory is this is my theory, similar to what we saw in this. I actually think that the Red Wings will eventually make a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I think two people that we're going to see, this is my thought process on this. And so correct me if what you guys' thoughts are. I think Berggren is one of these guys out as a roster player. Either Berggren or Michael Rasmussen are gone to the Pittsburgh Penguins with like a first or second round pick for a Rickard Rakell who has 3 years left on his deal. Or I believe potentially an Erik Karlsson to backstop the first or second power play unit before ASP gets here. So that allows ASP to develop in the AHL. So, and again, I would love Erik Karlsson. So that's just my theory on that. But I think I could see Rasmussen being a great trade piece because he's highly desired, or a Berggren getting an opportunity as like an extra in there. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think those are definitely two guys that we would definitely want to get rid of for Erik Karlsson. I mean, I wouldn't get rid of like Axel Sandin Pellikka like they want, or Marco Kasper. I heard Nate Danielson even. I wouldn't want to get rid of him. I'd say keep the guys we have in the farm. Would Pittsburgh do that? Probably not. I don't think they'd want, unless they're trying to get rid of cap money. I don't think they're going to want to get rid of Carlson for Rasmussen and Berggren. They'd probably want a pick in there to sweeten it up, probably a higher pick. But I think it would be cool to have Erik Karlsson here, especially for Axel Sandin Pellikka to learn under, and also,
Agreed.
I think Seider and Edvinsson could benefit from having a veteran guy like that. I mean, you think about it, our number one guy is Seider, and he's still very young. You got
Yeah.
Edvinsson coming up. He's still very young. It's like we don't really have that stud veteran guy in our lineup to show these younger guys what it's like, and I think everyone would benefit from that. It's just, will Pittsburgh do it for a reasonable price?
What about Ben Sherratt, though?
Yeah, he's...
I will not stand for this Travis Hamonic slander, okay?
Oh, man. Yeah, I agree. We need a veteran defenseman that's capable of putting a lot of minutes on the ice. I think Karlsson would be a great choice. But yeah, like Connor said, I don't think you can get the value. You just can't bring that value out of Berggren and Rasmussen when they just haven't put up those points. I mean, maybe Rasmussen gets a fresh start somewhere else and actually does what he was supposed to do, becomes like a in front of the net presence, but just never worked out for us. And I would really, at this point, I think I'm kind of like okay with trading away Rasmussen, but I just don't know if we're going to get that type of return, top defenseman type of return for these guys.
I think. Well, I think when you have a guy like Chris Letang, you don't need both, right? And so that's my thought process is that no, yeah, you're not going to get Berggren and Rasmussen for Erik Karlsson. Yeah, those are pieces for sure. Like, and you guys know you guys know the prospect pool even better than I do. But that maybe it's like a Rasmussen. Yep. You give a Shai William and a first round pick or something like that. You know what I mean? So there's pieces there. Like one, they need Yeah. I'm talking about just the main pieces, right? Because the first round pick is just something. We don't know what it's going to be, but we know what the quantities are of like a Rasmussen. And I think it's important for teams that are rebuilding. Like, they need guys under contract that are going to stay, that are forced to stay, right? Which is why Winnipeg sometimes trades for guys with like a little bit of term, so that they can keep guys there, because I hear they have a harder time getting free agents. So I could see them again, Rasmussen being under contract already could be someone that's appealing again with his game as well. And I think he can on that team maybe even be more of like a second line guy for them based on the talent that they have, right? If they start selling off pieces. So but yeah, what do you, and then any on the new arrivals, what do you guys think about James Van Riemsdyk? That's my one that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I mean, you got a guy that's quite a bit older now, and you're bringing in another veteran almost at like Patrick Kane's age, right? And it's just kind of like you getting the variation, because it seems like we had a very young team for the last 5 years now. It seems like bringing in some of these veterans might actually be the thing to do. Bring in someone who's got the capabilities to make a long playoff run, that's been there and just, yeah, I mean, Van Riemsdyk, he spent a long time in Philadelphia, man. He was a great goal scorer over there, but can he bring it with him still? Does he still have all of that juice in the bag?
I mean, we've seen it with Tarasenko last year. We thought, coming off a Stanley Cup, it's really a gamble. I mean, getting a guy like that, an older guy, he either works or he doesn't. And the fact that we're not spending massive amounts of money for him is good. I mean, I actually like the signing a lot. I mean, he could be something really good for us, or, I mean, you can get rid of him next year. Not that big of a deal.
Yep.
Well, and mind you, on a Columbus Blue Jackets team, he was over half point per game, right? He had 36 points, 71 games. So a guy that is already producing better than Berggren right there. Like, Berggren had 25 points in 75 games. You're looking at a little over half point per game for James Van Riemsdyk. You're getting that veteran leadership. We all know, and I love Dylan Larkin, but Dylan Larkin is not a yelly, screamy. He's a lead by example kind of guy. And I think James Van Riemsdyk brings on that little bit more energy. I think he's a little, again, Patrick Kane's the same way. Great player, plays like, you need the guys like what they talk about with Andrew Kopp is a leader in the room. He is a get your shit together type of guy in the room. I can see that for James Van Riemsdyk as well. Lead by example in some sense, right? Still play that hard game and say, guys, get in there and really play that like forward facing role. I think this is I think it's like a good, easy bet. Again, for cheap, a lot of this stuff, it's $1 million plus some bonuses. So like if he plays 50 games, 250 grand, cool, right? 1.25. If they make the playoffs, holla freaking Luya, give them an extra 250 grand. If they win around, give another 250 grand. These bonuses, these are nothing bonuses for a guy that is a bet, right? And if the Red Wings are tanking by the time the trade deadline gets here, then you trade him. Like it's like you get a third or second round pick for him. It's like cool, like I don't think they're gonna do, but you could, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, I think it's a low risk, high reward scenario. I think Van Riemsdyk's a good example of that. I'm curious on who's your favorite offseason pickup here of the rising.
Gibson, of course, right? I mean, you solidify, you get a guy that's going to take over at probably 45 to 50 games. You have Talbot playing, probably more like 30, 35 games. I think that's way better. And in my opinion, I think Costa gets up for about five games this year. Based on how old our goaltenders are, I think that's where you see it. I think I like the Appleton. I think that's going to improve the penalty kill, which I think is very good. But my favorite signing, actually, and my favorite bet is I really like Jacob Bernard Dockard, and I think taking a bet on a young first round pick that it has not worked out yet at other teams, like I like those signings, those bets. Like I'm like, heck yeah. I mean, even like at North Dakota, like he had 25 points in 32 games. Like he could be like a sneaky guy, right? And if he pans out to be a third pair guy, cool. Let Justin Hall ride off into the sunset next year and then re-sign Dockard, right? Like he's something. I like the unknowns,
Yeah, well, Jacob Bernard Dockard, I think like I said, low risk, high reward with Van Riemsdyk. I think he's like medium risk, medium reward. It's straight across the middle. It's not super high end hype pick. It's just like you're getting what you get. And hopefully we can help this guy develop. Hopefully he likes playing here. It sounds like he himself is very high on the prospect talent group that we have, and he's excited to play here. So I'm all about him. I think it's great. Do you see him spending any time in the AHL or kind of bouncing around at all?
Or just playing in the NHL?
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think if you waive him, he gets claimed. Not because he's some high level talent, but I think the fact that he signed on the first day of free agency means that he probably had some other suitors, right? And he didn't sign I think he signed for $875, which is above league minimum of $775, right? So that means that Red Wings offered a little bit extra for him to come play here. So I think when you're looking at a 25-year-old right-handed defenseman, like if I'm any team, I'll take a bet on that, right? If I'm a rebuilding team, if I'm a Nashville, a Chicago, a San Jose, like I'm taking a bet on this guy. Like, why not? Like, try him out. So, and he's an RFA as well. So you have him under team control. So if he does pan out, then like, cool. Like, I think this is I don't think he plays in the AHL. I think if anything, my thought process is that Justin Hall gets waived again because he won't be claimed with his $3.4 million contract. And whether they decide to send him down or not, that's a better option because the Red Wings won't lose an asset in that case, right? And they'd probably be happy to get rid of Justin Hall to bring up someone else, right? So,
yeah, I'd let him go through the waivers. So Justin Hall. I don't think anyone.
Hey, we'll take him here in Grand Rapids. I mean, he'll play great down there. He
did start down here last year. Justin Hall did on the Grand Rapids Griffins, and then he got called up and never came back down. But
well, and I think that's why they didn't buy him out either. Is because it's like he either is gonna be played or we can throw him down in the AHL. Right? Like you're like, why would we take the cap hit for the next 2 years when we can just like run it out? I mean, the Red Wings currently have like almost $12 million in cap space.
Yeah. It's just an expensive contract.
Yeah. It was a silly signing.
So yeah, that basically the only other guy, we got John Leonard that was brought in. He's going to be spending time in the AHL. I'm guessing that's our Joe Schneidley replacement. Hopefully he can kind of take the lead down here as like a top winger or possibly even center for us.
Yeah, he was real good last year. He played for the Charlotte Checkers, and he pretty much led their team and put a really deep playoff push for them. So he'll be a great addition to the Griffins.
Yeah, I liked him when he played on the San Jose Sharks. I was a big fan of him back then. So I just thought he was a good grinder in that sense. And I thought he performs well in the AHL. And he's actually stayed pretty consistent in the AHL. You can see with the Milwaukee Admirals, he in 22, 23, 44 points, 67 games, right? He had a little stint with the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, for sure.
Last year with the Tucson Roadrunners, he fell back a little bit, but again, with the Charlotte Checkers, he looks phenomenal. I like him a lot. I think it's gonna be great for you guys. So I'm happy for that signing.
All righty. So that's our free agency rundown. I mean, kind of covered everyone who's gone, everyone who's returning, and everyone who has arrived with a new face. So
Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown scorer to anytime touchdown props, or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use extended. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
do you want to talk draft real quick, Brad? Just kind of run over it. Who are you most excited about? A couple of these kids are, I mean, I felt like it was a real young draft. Let us know what you feel about it.
So, I mean, some of the guys that I really like, I mean, I was not very high on Carter Bear. I was unsure about him. I think there's some other talents that I wanted at the time, but I think the way people are talking about it, they're really excited about it. But like for me, like I was more of like an Eklund guy. Like I was like a Cole Reshny guy. I thought that, but I think Carter Bear is going to work out pretty well. I think he's, based on what I've seen, is that he's willing to get into the dirty areas, which I think is massive for a team like the Red Wings, which is let's be honest, a more high skilled team, right? We have guys that are higher skilled, like like you have like a rate, like you have like I just think like Red Wings look. I think when you're building a team, you build for skill and then you can get toughness later. I think with Carter Bear, I think he's going to bring that toughness later. Again, we're bringing in like a Carter Mazer, and like I think Carter Bear will end up working out with.
Yeah, well, and Genberg too. And a lot of these players that Yzerman chose in this draft, they're just physical, just driven players. Like they just, like you said, they hate skating on the ice. I'm going to use that one, by the way. That's a good analogy. So, like,
they skate like they hate the ice because they're trying to stab it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, they're just constantly going, legs are churning. And yeah, I like a lot of these picks here. There's, especially in the later rounds, it sounds like the Nikita Tyron kid, people are pretty high on that Russian defenseman in the 5th round. So, and the Graydon Robinson Palmer kid, a 17-year-old that was like still in high school. People are really high on these players, and it's looking like maybe taking them late this year instead of early next year might be the way to go.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know much about the Nikita Tyron. That was one that I was unsure about. That's one of the ones I haven't heard much about. But of course, you heard a ton about Eddie Genberg being like one of the best or one of the better 2nd round picks that the Red Wings picked up, which I really liked. The Michael Pradell goalie, I mean, he's looking phenomenal from the USHL. You know, like I thought that was like a good pickup as well. A lot of good talks about, again, just re-solidifying that goalie pipeline as well. And then again, Brent Solomon was talked about as well as being surprisingly only on HockeyDB. He has like 6 points in 8 games in the USHL. But again, I heard really good things about him. And of course, the big what's considered, if you guys follow Will Scouch from Scouchy Reporting, he talks about how he believes Michael Sverchek in the 4th round is the biggest steal of the draft, and was thought of as, I think he actually had him going in like the late 1st round, like early 2nd round, I think. So the fact that the Ravens were able to get this guy in the 4th round, which I thought was just phenomenal. I mean, that's a great pickup right there. Again, only 18 years old, like you're talking about. And then again, you're talking about the Graydon Robertson Palmer. Again, another young guy in the 7th round. I think there's high talks about him. The Red Wings prospect page does a really good job with their prospects. I think they've highlighted a lot of the Robertson Palmer highlights, and I think that it's a great little pickup. And it's the 7th round pick. It's worth the risk. And he's a big boy for how tall he is. He's 197 pounds at 5'11". So at 18 years old, he's going to grow. He's just going to continue to grow. So I'm really excited about that.
Cool. That should wrap us up with the draft talk. Figure at this point we can just go ahead and, we kind of covered the whole organization. Let's talk about the Yzerplan. Kind of want to get into what is Yzerman doing? What's going on? What, are we happy? Is the fan base happy? I think I got a couple specific like topics, and I want us all three to go through and just give Yzerman a letter grade on where you think he is on some of these topics. So if you were going to grade Dave Yzerman on his drafting, what would you say letter grade wise?
So for drafting, I would say probably a B+, or almost an A. I think he's done pretty good. I feel like to start out, we got Cider, which was obviously no one thought that would be the pick at the time. I mean,
who's this guy?
Yeah, the whole crowd went, and obviously Lucas Raymond's panned out, and then you got Simon Edvinsson and Marco Kasper, who are also amazing. And it felt like for a couple of years, we got like those centers that are just consistent players, like Marco Kasper, who can do two-way, who can be solid. They're just a solid player, and they have like a high ceiling. And obviously with Marco Kasper, you can see that as of last year, he really blew up, and it's crazy. And then Nate Danielson, he actually had a better season than Marco Kasper did for Marco Kasper's first year on the Griffins, beating him by like a point. So, I mean, he's obviously another center guy. Then you got like a bigger guy with Michael Branson-Nygaard. I mean, I know I'm only talking about first round dudes, but like you noticed with Michael Branson-Nygaard, he came over and he adjusted to the small ice really good because he's a bigger guy, and he can use his weight and push it around more, and I think that adapts to his game better, And then Carter Bear is now, you got this guy who has more of a scoring ability. Like out of all the other guys we got, now we got someone who can actually have the ferocity and the scoring. And I feel like if you couple all these first round picks together, I mean, you got a pretty good core. And then you got to think of the contracts that they've signed with like Raymond and Larkin. And I mean, there's going to be room to sign these guys, and we're going to have a solid core for years. So yeah, I got to say B+ or A.
What about you, Brad?
I was going to land on B+ as well. I think so. When it comes to drafting, my opinion is that you should be hitting your first round picks, especially in the top 10 that Red Wings have been in. Right? I think you need to hit at least one per year. And Yzerman has preached patience so much, and we've talked, and so that I think one of the things is we've not seen a real hit is on outside the first round for him. But we are starting to see that, right? It is now finally coming to fruition, right? We're seeing the 2019 draft starting to work out, where we're getting an Albert Johansson, we're getting an Elmer Soderblom. The fact that you got 3 guys out of your 2019 draft, that is a good draft. It's a very good draft that you got. A good draft is hitting maybe 2 guys, right? In my expectation for drafting, you should hit at least 1. But for hitting 3, that's really good.
Yeah, after the second round, it's hard.
It is, but it's not impossible. You have Hronix, you have the Bertuzzi's that come out of the second round, right? Like there's these guys that but like that is why you rely on your staffing. That's why you have so many, you draft so many guys as well, right? And looking at the 2020, like we might get Will Linder, and of course we have Raymond. That's good, right? But like that's probably all we're gonna get there, right? We're starting to get C. We're seeing like Kos is probably is gonna be an NHLer. Evans is gonna be an NHL. I think Bouillon and Mazer will be again NHLers. I think these are guys are going to be maybe lower in the lineup.
And also, you got to think of the dudes like Lombardi, who's like a 4th-round pick, and Emmett Finney, who's now emerging, who was a late-round pick. And like you said, Soderbaum, like those late-round picks are really the ones that can change a whole draft. Like Kucherov for Tampa Bay, he was a 2nd-rounder. I mean, and he's like a top guy in the NHL. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%, man.
Yeah, Braden Point's a 3rd-rounder, right? And that's that's what made Tampa Bay so good. And so I think that what you have to see, and I trust Yzerman, and we're going to get into like free agency and player acquisition, of course, as well. But like when we talked about, there's the Dylan Cousins, people are talking about trading Dylan Cousins for Marco Kasper or like Danielson for Cousins. And basically what you would be doing is you're swapping a guy who is already at the NHL level that you were looking for, and then trading for the futures, right? I think Marco Kasper can develop as good as Cousins, if not better. I think the same thing of Danielson, right? And I'm so on the patience ladder. I'm ready for them to miss the playoffs this year. Because I think that the development is so much important. I don't want to make the playoffs for 1 year and then miss, and then make the playoffs and then miss. I want to be a playoff contender, a Stanley Cup contender for a half a decade minimum. I want to make the playoffs for the next 15 years. And it's about the depth. It's about making these guys having this depth that you can trade around, right? Like I hope Amadeus Lombardi makes a team, but he's gonna be a great trade target if not, right? Like I hope Emmett Finney makes a team, but he's gonna be a great trade target if not, right? To make the team better long term, right? And so the draft he's got a great depth, I'd say, and a lot of guys that he have of assets that you can use to propel the team forward. So I think that again, B+ is solid. I'd like to see more depth, and we're starting to, and that grade may change as more guys start to break out of the Yzerman draft. So, what about you, Kyle? What do you think?
Yeah, I got to go with A-, and I think the big word here is draft lottery. We just haven't had the good luck in the lottery, and Yzerman continues to find these players like no one even knew who Seider was, and here we are with him 5 years later. Like, holy crap, this guy's a stud. So I feel like Yzerman has found a way to pull these diamonds out of the rough, and like Connor said, with Soderblom and a 6th-round pick, and like some of these picks have just been, taking Kosa over Wallstead. Some of these picks, they kind of make you scratch your head at first, but then 5 years down the road, you're like, maybe that was a good pick. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and give him the A-. I'll be the positive part here and give him the benefit of the doubt, considering we haven't had the luck in the lottery. And, he had to get some of these draft picks. He had to trade away to get some of these picks in so we could actually have them. So I want to give him an A-.
Nice. I can see that.
So after drafting, I want to go ahead and cover our player acquisitions and free agency for his time here as GM. How the players he's brought in. And I guess part of this is like the contracts that he's made with the players that are here.
You want to go, Connor? Or you want me to go?
So I'll go. So I'm gonna give him a C, and I think that's basically on the point that a lot of, like you said, if we went longevity, I feel like a lot of these signings have been like bridge signings just to get to the point where we have our development and our guys coming in. But that being said, some of these contracts have been a little ridiculous, like Sherratt and Hall. I mean, we're paying these dudes good money. Tarasenko, we paid real good money. I haven't seen the best free agent signings, definitely not. I mean, we've had problems in the goalie room, but I give them a C based on the fact that I feel like these are just bridge moves just to get us to where we need to be. I feel like Yzerman definitely has not pulled the trigger all the way. And if he did, then that's not good. Then it's probably like a D.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I'm on the similar. I'm similar there. I'm in the D+ range. I mean, if you look at if you're going back a couple, there's a couple ones that really stand out that I thought were really good. Like the Mark Stahl, you get a 2nd-round draft pick with that, right? Like I think that's a solid one. You had the Anthony Mantha one at the time looked really good, right? You got a former 1st-round pick. You had like I forget the other guy's name. But you get like a bunch of guys. You got a 1st-round pick you can use to get you move to get Kosa, right? You have Vrana. Like there's like some good, like solid moves in there, right? We saw like the Nicoletti trade, right? He originally acquired like Nicoletti, and then that was how we got Wallman and Fabry. So there's like some good moves here, but overall, like I trust his drafting and developing over what he with the Mantha trade. So I'm looking at it on Puckpedia and everything too. So with the Mantha trade, like you got a Verana, right? Which is that's sick, right? You got a first round player out of that, right? And Jacob Verana. You got a Richard Panik, again, that's more of like a cap dump, right? And you got a first and a second round pick out of that for one player. That's good asset management right there, right? For a guy who was, signed to a 4-year contract at Anthony Mantha, but was not going to be part of the long-term plan because he was 26 at the time in 2021, right? Right now, he would be 30 at the end of his contract right now. So, and then you were able to, you trade the cap dump Panik with a second round pick, you get Nicoletti. Then you get Nicoletti, you get Wallman, you get you get the Fabbris and all this. And so like there is some good trades here, but there's nothing that really wowed you, right? Even the Alex DeBrincat trade was I want to come home. I'm going to strong arm the Ottawa Senators. And it wasn't like I've been doing his magic. It was a landed in your lap type of trade. And there's never been really a huge seller trade that he just really, in my opinion, that he really knocked it out of the park where you're like, man, how did Irishman do that? Besides, again, I think if you're a niche Red Wings fan, like we are talking about the Kiskinen and the Gibson trade, I think that was like one of the best trades. Right. And again, trading Wallman for a second round pick, that really just lowers him. So I'm going D+ on trades. And again, acquisitions like you were talking about. I think Sherratt played the part. I think Kopp, but so I don't. But he's been asked to do more than that. He's been doing asked like he should be a third pair D. He's been asked to be a first pair D because there's not enough depth. Like I think the Kopp is fine. I think he's more of like a in the locker room type of guy than a actual like point producer. I think Comfort has not worked out at all, and those long-term contracts, the Justin Hall contract, like I think his free agent signings are just not good. And so this is why, again, I'm leaning so much on his drafting and developing. I think he just nails it. I think his team does a really, really great job on giving the prospects their space. And so acquisitionally, I just don't, D+ I just don't trust anything. I think that's why I think this year he's like, hey guys, I drafted you. We developed you. Show me that I'm right. Because he's betting on himself that these are the guys I drafted and developed. Let me show you. We'll nail it. So that's my opinion on the drafting. So what about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you. I think I'll be in the D+ range too, just in the fact that like every offseason goes by, and other than DeBrincat and Patrick Kane, a lot of these moves have just been very underwhelming. The goalie room in this constant state of flux is kind of just like, I don't know, Bernier was like a good bring in, but then we brought in Reimer and now Talbot, and it's like, these guys I just don't know if you can expect the volume that we're giving these guys. They're in, game out, and I just don't know if these old goalies are the answer. And there's like that joke like, oops, all goalies in the Captain Crunch box, and it's Yzerman. Oops, all goalies with our offseason moves, and it's like, I get it, but we just gotta develop Kosa. We gotta, move forward with some of these guys, but like a solid defensive core, like getting a solid defensive veteran and not paying them more than they're worth is apparently not very easy. So, like I said, I'm with you guys both. I put them at the D+ too. I'd love to be able to make a big move and have someone come in that's just like, oh wow, we got that guy, but it just hasn't happened. And like you said, DeBrincat basically fell into our laps. Like he wanted to come home, and other than those types of picks, it's been uninspiring. And I feel like the team kind of feels like that at the beginning of every year. Like, oh, all these other guys made big moves. We're still waiting for our prospects, which I guess that's his plan, though. I guess that's part of the plan is to count on these prospects, and we're just now starting to.
Well, and just to go back on his trade, so like he did get a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick for Bertuzzi, and he did get a first and second-round pick for Filip Hronek. But those are guys that are leaving. It's easy in the teardown to get assets back, right? it's harder to get guys back. And that's the thing, is that you have to be willing to move these big pieces. And to me, I don't think the Red Wings are in a position where you should be trading a first round pick unless you're getting a guy like a Pasternak or like a star in the league, right? But like, you shouldn't be trading first round picks. If you finish 9th this year in standings, which could be the case in this case, right? Because of how strong the Atlantic is. Gavin freaking McKenna. We just saw it with the Islanders jumping up freaking 10 spaces to take Matthew Schaefer, pissed off. But it's just infuriating. So
yeah. So obviously we didn't really think too highly of his free agents, all the free agency and player acquisitions, the trades. So that part of the management, C+, D+, D+. Then we got the coaching staff management. How do you think Yzerman has managed his staff? This could be the scouting department. This could be the AHL development, going to the ECH development. So what do you think about that, Connor?
So I'd give it probably a C plus B. I mean, obviously we had Newsy, Lalonde here for a while, and he didn't work out, and you saw the immediate difference once we got Todd McEllen, who came in. So I think that was a good move for him to get rid of Newsy. I feel like he probably could have pulled the trigger a little sooner on Newsy. I think the hiring of Dan Watson in Grand Rapids was a huge hiring. I think the years before that, the Grand Rapids Griffins were very poorly managed. They just didn't have a chance to compete. I mean, 7 teams are in our division, 5 teams make the playoffs, and we were right there in last place pretty much. He hired Dan Watson and changed that around. Now the pipeline's good. Obviously, Toledo down there has good staff, Pat Mikic and everything. I mean, up and down the pipeline, generally good. And then, I mean, I could say C+. Just right in the middle, probably. Nothing phenomenal, nothing bad.
What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I think with his coaching decisions, I think if you've got to look at the whole tenure, and again, you guys can speak more to the Griffins and the ECHL, being that you guys are more focused on the pipeline. But from the Red Wings perspective, I understand when Yzerman re-signed Blashill, the team was going to be bad, right? Like, so they knew, hey, they're going to be bad. Let's keep some consistency because we're going to be trading out players and everything. Let's keep some consistency on the coach. Did not go great, I'd say. But mind you, Blashill did develop Raymond and Sider. He was part of the reason that they developed in some of the players they have. So you got to give him some credit there. Again, he got let go. Bringing in Newsy, another new head coach. He had a good pedigree. He studied under John Cooper. So and John Cooper's won at every level. So you're like, hey, this should be a good bet. It did not work out. And in my philosophy, when it comes to coaching, I think you need a hard ass head coach and more soft assistant coaches, where the head coach can come in and kind of just like guns a-blazing, you fucking idiots, da da da. Oh, sorry, I don't know if you can swear to say fucking, but you can say, you idiots, like, get your stuff together. Goalie, you're playing like shit. All defensemen, you're letting guys by, and then the assistant coaches can be like, okay, guy, give a nice pat on the butt and say, come on. And that's, to me, that's what Lalonde was he was the fluffer of the Lightning, that John Cooper would come in and rip everyone a new asshole, and then Lalonde would be like, hey, don't worry, guys, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna, and then again, I think that's why you're seeing Lalonde be the assistant coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's a fluffer now. He's gonna be the guy that's helping Matthews feel good and everything. And again, I think Todd Bertuzzi is that guy is gonna, again, tear the guy's new asshole as they need it, right? Because you're on the way to the next step. You're on to this next level. And so I think that, again, I agree. I think they should have fired Lalonde sooner. And we saw that the Red Wings had a pace with Todd that they could have made the playoffs. But it is what it is at this point. I think they have a better shot. But again, it's still a tough division. And I don't know who they're going to beat. I think they could potentially beat Montreal, because I think they had everything work out really right for them. But I think decision wise, I agree. Could be a little bit sooner, but I'm iffy. I'm going to go C plus B minus. I could go either way on that, right in that cusp, though, that 80% rule. So
Actually, yeah, I gotta agree with like the B minus. The one thing that does concern me a little bit, everyone kind of talks about the old boys club. Everyone's kind of, bringing in those old friends that you had. We got Dan Cleary, and these guys are just coming in, Chris Draper, and like, it's like they're too familiar with each other in a way, where they're just like in the club together, having fun, and kind of got to get down to business a little bit. So that's like, I think, my biggest concern about the coaching staff. Just bringing in like these ex players that they gel really well with the relationship side of things, but maybe we need someone that's better at the business side of it. And then I think Cleary and Draper, and I think they've all done really well with the development and the scouting part of all this, and bringing in they all help with the drafting, and that part's been great. But yeah, I agree with you. Like McClellan being the guy that chews people up, that's what we needed. Someone on these kids that's a little more firm and just that's going to shape them right. That's not just going to let them go out there and play half-ass and not put up points. If you don't put up points, get to the bench. It's that simple sometimes. So I will agree with you guys. I'm going to give them a B minus, so probably a little higher. I still think we got a good system, and I think the organization's well. Like Sean Horkoff as the GM of Grand Rapids, that's working out pretty well. And Pat Verbeck went over to Anaheim, and now it's like we have a good kind of like a trade outlet with Anaheim now too, with that kind of going on. So keeping old faces around, and just think they've done a fair job with that. But yeah, I'd like to actually see some trades come in.
Agreed.
So, and we could talk about player development. What is your letter grade, Connor, on player development? How has Yzerman developed young players?
I gotta go with probably an A, considering we got Cider, you got Casper blowing up, you got Edvinson coming in. I think there's a lot more to Edvinson than people realize. Johansson blowing up. I mean, you got those two dudes solid. I mean, think if you can get Johansson back on the left side to his normal side and get a solid right D by him. You got Danielson, who, like I said before, he's coming up with great pace, just like Casper. He even did better than Casper in the Griffins in his rookie season, so it wouldn't be shocking to see Danielson blow up like Casper as soon as he heads into the NHL. And then you got these new guys coming in that are going to need developed. You got like Berggren, who's been developed. I mean, I think the development's been great, especially with like Edvinson and Casper, for sure. I gotta say A.
But I'm gonna go with player development. I'm gonna go A minus. It kind of falls into the same thing as drafting, right? Drafting, you're taking these flyers on some of these kids, and it's not only that you choose properly, but it's also that you develop properly. And again, I'm kind of washing on that B plus to A minus, where I'm like, hey, when you get guys, are they developing into it? And I'm kind of falling more B plus because we're just starting to see that of where they are starting to develop and they're looking really good. Again, my expectation is a little higher. I think you should hit on your first round picks, but I think you're starting to see that. And I think as in a year or two, I think you're going to start seeing that they go from a B plus to an A minus, because we're going to see more and more guys develop and become like to show that we had a good draft class and everything. So I think, player development, we're seeing some really good guys getting developed. And I think I'm going to go with I'll go B plus leaning towards A minus.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll go with a B here. I think the development's been great. I think, like you said, Casper and Danielson, they come right in. They almost exceed expectations, and we're seeing them move up the list. I think some of these like bridge players that we brought in have slowed down the development a little bit, including like the goalies, like Kosa. His development is still kind of almost in limbo. You want to see him make that next step, but we're just kind of constantly waiting for it. I think some of these later round picks have developed really well, like Lombardi, Soderblom. Same thing with like the drafting we talked about. It's a huge part of bringing these players through. And yeah, I'd like to see it, like you said, it's just finally coming together. So that's where I'm at with the B. If we had maybe a couple better trades down the line here to get some of these players a little more comfortable or better chemistry with each other, I think that's half of the battle, is just making these players feel comfortable through, the training camp process. We got the prospect games that have happened in Traverse City forever. I mean, that's like everyone's chance to get together as a group and like really see what the organization looks like. And so things are a little different. We'll see what it does. Maybe it helps. Maybe just being comfortable in Traverse City has slowed things down, having that there every year, and all these other teams got to travel, come to Traverse City from out of state and play. Maybe that's helping these other teams a little more. not so that off season's not so easy for them.
Yeah, I can see that.
But so I get. And then the last one here is Yzerman. How's he doing with like our fan base? Like, what's the moderation? Is he controlling this fan base from going out the chain and just letting loose, or like what? Where is he like capping this? How is he doing with overall population? You know, are we drawing in new fans? Are we like? I guess that's kind of the biggest thing about being a GM. Like, it's the fan base, right? You're controlling everything, and are we, selling tickets? Are we selling out every game? It's a big question for me, and I think this one's the biggest variant of this question. So
I'm gonna put it right down the middle and go on a C, because you got kind of the fan base right now is a little divided. You got some people who are believing Yzerman. He's a longtime captain of the team. He's a superstar. He went over to Tampa Bay and he developed Tampa Bay from like one of the worst teams to like a annual contender for the Stanley Cup. And you get him here and everyone's like, oh, he's gonna save everything. And yeah, I mean, it's been a longer process. We haven't won the lottery odds, and I mean, you can't just trade players away for nothing. I mean, you can't trade assets away for just nothing just to make the playoffs for 1 year. So I feel like Yzerman's been taking the slow game, and I think by doing that, I think it's made a lot of fans unhappy, especially like more like the sports fans in general, opposed to just like the hockey fans who know what's going on. I feel like all the sports fans are mad. The Red Wings have been horrible the past 7 years. We need to get back in the playoffs. But then you got the actual hockey players who can kind of see the process and how it's going. So there's a big divide. So I'm just gonna have to go with a C. I think he's doing what he can.
Yeah. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, how he's he done? I think he's. So you have to kind of take this in two different contexts. You have to consider what kind of fan base there is, right? If you're a Utah Mammoth fan, you don't know anything. So you're coming in bright eye and bushy tail, right? Red Wings we've been spoiled for so long. We had 25 or 26 years of playoffs. So these fans are ravenous for a playoff push, right? And what you don't understand is that I don't look at Red Wings missed the playoffs in 2016. Yzerman didn't come in until 2019. So to me, the real true rebuild started in 2019. But for most Red Wings fans, they feel it's 2016. And now Yzerman is a representation of the team. So they're saying, hey, it's 2025. We're going to 2026. It will have been 10 years since you missed the playoffs. Yzerman, he's like, no, it's only been 7. And I tore this thing all the way down. And I continue to think about Ken Holland saying that a full teardown rebuild takes 8 to 10 years. And Yzerman is in year 7. So I'm giving him the grace up until 8 to see this swing. And so I think when it comes to a grade, I kind of feel a similar to what Connor was saying. It was like he's done the best with what I think he can on some aspect when it comes to drafting and everything. But he's always preached patience. He's always preached drafting. So I think he's done the best that he can. However, getting some not some trades, and considering the fan base that you have here who are ravenous, I'm gonna go C+. I'm kind of in the same boat. Now he didn't do much this offseason, so let's retire Fedorov's number, right? Like it's the 100 year. Let's do, it's like he's trying to make it a bigger thing. But I'll be honest, he didn't do much this year. And so he's trying to stave off the fan base, trying to make them feel good. And again, it feels like he's like, oh, here you go. Here's a little something to eat. But it's not, we're not feeling fed here. So
yeah. No, I hear you there. Yeah, the fan base, like I feel it in both directions too. Like there's just two completely separate groups of people that are like barking at each other. Like Yzerman's done nothing. Yzerman's done so much for this team. Yzerman, and it's a constant battle. And like for me, I kind of feel stuck in the middle as someone who makes content for the Red Wings or for the Griffins here. And it's like, it's hard to judge Yzerman, and you can see it in his voice when he talks on the media. Like he's frustrated too. He wants these guys to go. He wants his team in the playoffs. You can tell he's doing everything he can, like you guys said, and it's kind of like we're like one step away at all times. It seems like we're just like that one missed move or one missed game or one missed option, one draft pick away from making the right move, and it's just we're so close to being back in the playoffs. And like you said, we're at year 7 of 8, so. Who knows? Maybe the swing is finally coming down and we are about to go right up this hill. But maybe the swing just comes down and stops. it's a really kind of interesting point of Yzerman's he's developing himself, right? He's been a GM that he's rebuilding an entire situation here in Detroit. And yeah, being able to do that, it's two completely different worlds from what he left behind with Stamkos and Kucherov and Vasilevsky. Like, we don't have that here. You've got to rebuild. You've got to get those
He
guys
was given
yourself.
Hedman and Stamkos, just to let you know.
Okay.
So he won those like lottery picks already. And so like and he did a great job drafting. I agree. He had Kucherov, he had Point, he had Vasilevsky. He did a phenomenal job. And actually he left before they won the Stanley Cup, which is like even more heartbreaking because you're like, but he like the foundation of that team, he absolutely built, and he's doing that with the Red Wings, which is why fans listening to this podcast, they're almost there. They're almost relevant. I'm telling you,
yes.
Just hang on. Listen to Kyle and Connor. They're going to be relevant. Don't worry. Continue listening to them.
It's been hard. So like I said, I have to give him a C+. I think he's doing, like you guys said, everything he can do. The ship is in the right waters. We're going to the right place. You just got to get there. There's a lot of water in front of us,
Yep.
So
absolutely.
So that being said, I mean, kind of gives us a broad overview of like what we're looking at when, we're talking about Yzerman and the Yzerplan as his job as a GM. I mean, we kind of went over the big topics of what it is to be a GM. And what else do you have on Yzerman that you want to kind of discuss and with the organization and where it's going?
Well, just to kind of wrap up, I would say that I think that there is the direction. I think there's a good foundation. I think that we're starting to see the percolation of guys starting to pop off, right? The Albert Johanssons, the Elmer Soderblums. If we're getting 2 to 3 guys out of the draft every year that have developed through the Red Wing system, first round picks hitting, guys starting to move out, and these contracts starting to fall off. Was it Kopp or Shiraz at the end of this? Like the defense next year is Johansson and Cider. Those are the only two guys with contracts next year, which means you got to give Evanson a contract, right? Then all these guys are going to start to come up. You're going to start to sign new guys. You're going to get fresh blood. Like next year's going to, like the following year is going to be crazy because we're going to have all these guys start to fall off. Kopp's on last year's contract next year. I think Comfer is also, or he's maybe got one more year after that, right? But like that's a buyout candidate in that case, right? He moved off of Tarasenko. Like he's letting the young guys run, I think, with a lot more. So I think you're starting to see that this is so much Yzerman's drafted team. So to me, again, I just kind of give the final results of what I think was going to end up happening this season. I think the Red Wings missed the playoffs. They're 6th in their division. I think Montreal and or Ottawa make the playoffs. I think you have a similar top 5 for the Atlantic. I think you beat Buffalo and Boston, but I don't know if that's much of an accomplishment right now. But I think you got to be okay with them missing one more year. And I think if he doesn't make it the following year, I think the fan base will. I don't think you should fire Yzerman, but I think the fan base will be the heads will roll for firing Yzerman are going to be so incredibly loud that the organization might not have a choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this season you at least see some of those fruits, right? You see what is out there to get. And some of these players just going out and putting up a great season. Like if Casper goes out and puts a great season, Edvinsson puts out a great season, and some of the like Soderblom, maybe even Berggren puts up a good season.
Or you call Danielson or Mazer up and they explode.
And
they start doing good.
And you at least we can start to put a vision behind what this is going to look like. I think that's what most of these the people that just want to see it, that's all they want. They just want to see these kids do it. They want to see these pieces that are brought in actually perform. And I think if we at least get that this year, playoffs or not, and we at least see some great games of Red Wings, what it should look like, not losing to Tampa Bay 6-1 every time we play them. Like we got to at least give some of these teams a run for their money and put up, if we go 50% this year is what it is, as long as we looked right doing it and didn't fall off. Injuries are going to happen. All these things happen, but like at the end of the year, as long as the prospects are developing, and I'm not putting any hope on these outside players that come in really. But as long as the prospects are developing, maybe we see little Kosa gets to perform. I think we're in a good boat.
I agree.
Agreed.
All righty. I think that should wrap us up. We kind of went a long time here. Thanks for sticking it out with us, Brad.
Man.
Yeah. We'll get the technical difficulties knocked out next time. Like I said, my wife is my wife's saying, "Hey, what's up? I'm gonna leave soon, so I gotta head out." But it was just fun, guys. I had a good time. I'd love to reconnect with you guys again, and we'll do another. We'll get you guys on my pod and everything, and we'll spit some content out. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. And also, we got a pipeline hat, same hat I'm wearing right now for you. And if you want to come to a Griffins game, we got 2 tickets for you. Let us know. Heck yeah, man.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. Like I said, I'll let you know if we I haven't made hats yet, but when I do, I'll definitely get you one. All right. So,
yeah. But real quick before you're out of here, where can everyone find you? What's your spot? Where do they listen to you and get your content?
YouTube is a lot. Like most people are following me on YouTube. I love doing the tier lists. I love doing a lot of Red Wings content, mostly, right? My plan is to do a review after every Red Wings game this year as much as possible. I do have a baby due in November, so that I might be up already. I'll be honest. So that is the plan. I'm trying I've been recording podcasts on Monday nights while my wife watches The Bachelor. So I'm releasing a podcast every Tuesday morning at 6 a.m. So you can catch me on that. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, and all the big platforms. And like I said, I'm bigger on Twitter. So that's my big one. But like I said, come check me out on YouTube. That's where you'll find the most fun. You get a lot more content there. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on. Undrafted Hockey Fan, by the way, as well as my flip page.
Awesome.
Well, nice having you, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time, man.
Not a problem. You guys have a great day, all right?
Yeah, you too. See ya, Brad.
See ya.
Again, thank you so much, Brad, for coming on and dealing with some of the issues we had. Appreciate the patience. Be awesome to hear from you again soon. I'm sure you'll be busy with a new family member, so best wishes with that. But if you make it over to Grand Rapids any point this season, we got a pair of Grand Rapids Griffins tickets for you. So just let us know. And again, we'll come on your show anytime you need. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, so we have one more segment here of the episode. Welcome to the penalty box. This is the final segment of every episode. We like to end it on a fun note and pick the biggest idiot of the week, throw them into the penalty box. We like to throw them in for a 2-minute minor, 4-minute double minor, 5-minute major, or a game misconduct. Kyle, who are you throwing into the penalty box?
Well, it's got to be the box truck that ran into the US 131 bridge down in Dorr, right? Like they shut down the highway for miles. And that was a really bad spot to be shut down at because it really created a lot of backups and definitely had to pay for it. So definitely throwing that guy in the box. Just typical, standard driving situation here. So we'll just keep it to a 2-minute minor.
Yeah, and probably pay attention to the road also.
These old dilapidated bridges that we got here in Michigan, it's kind of scary.
It is. So who I'm throwing into the penalty box over the weekend at a professional baseball game where a foul ball's hit, goes into the crowd, bounces off a older woman's hand. Some other guy goes over, grabs it, brings it over, and gives it to his kid. Sitting there for a second, the woman goes Karen mode, comes running down and starts demanding him to hand the ball over, and he hands the ball over. So this is a double whammy for me, for the lady and the dad. First of all, the kid is the kid. He should probably get the ball anyway. Let's just be real. Second of all, you had your chance, Karen. It hit you in the hand. You dropped it. At that point, it is no longer your ball. Try that at a hockey game. See how that works. So for Karen in the box, and then honestly the dad too, for being a pushover and giving the ball back to her. Like, what?
Yeah, allowed it to happen. This isn't the first fake I've seen. I mean, there's people ripping balls out of each other's hands out here in baseball fields. There's another older fella that caught the ball, and a younger gentleman just comes up and maybe not so much of a gentleman, rips the ball right out of his hands too, and goes and sits down. And the guy's like, "Come on, man, really? I had the ball in my hands." And he's like, the wife's like, "Just leave it. Just leave it."
Yeah, I'm definitely disappointed in the dad. Like, I would have stayed strong and said, no, that's my kid's ball. I got it off the ground fair and square. I'm not going to take my ball from my kid and hand it back. That's all I got to say.
I agree with that.
So, yeah, I say just normal 2-minute minor. No one died, but very childish behavior.
Agreed.
But yeah, that should wrap us up for this episode.
Yeah, obviously, like we mentioned, keep your eyes out for those upcoming dates. Training camp is upon us. Prospect games will be September 13th and 14th, so that Saturday and Sunday. Then the red versus white game will be September 21st. That one will be September 21st. That one will be at 3 p.m. at the Van Andel Arena. So make sure you make it down to that.
That is a Sunday.
Yep. And just be ready because this hockey season is coming up quickly. It'll be here before you know it. We'll be rocking out at the Van Andel Arena after the Griffins win 5-0 on the home opener weekend. And we'll be 4-0 by then, right?
Yeah, and go to griffinshockey.com and get yourself a single game tickets. Take your girlfriend on a date, take the family out, or you can get, if you're really into hockey, get your 3-game or your 5-game package, which are now available. So get your games and go Griffins.
Go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like and follow us on Facebook and X, or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1-616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.